Hello, my name is Bill Graff, and I'm the Vice President of Engineering at ImageCat Inc., a risk assessment and risk management firm in Long Beach, California. And in August of 2023, ImageCat performed a structural review and seismic risk assessment of Regatta Seaside. And in this presentation, I will share with you what we found. The study was intended to inform your decision process related to earthquake insurance and to help inform property risk management. The scope was to review seismic hazards for the site, review the design drawings, and perform a visual survey for configuration and condition. We then wrote our report and presented our results, including our recommendations for insurance and post-earthquake response. This is my background, a professional engineer, civil, with a master's degree in structural engineering and a long work history studying buildings in earthquakes. This map shows the Los Angeles region with the various active faults we know about, as depicted by the California Geological Survey. The site is shown here with a small red circle. The closest faults are the Charnock Fault, the Newport-Inglewood Fault, and the Palos Verdes Fault. The colors indicate how recently the fault last broke, with red for historic, orange for Holocene ruptures, that is to say in the past 11,700 years, green and purple are for Quaternary age faulting predating the Holocene. No surface ruptures are marked for the 1933 Long Beach earthquake, which occurred on the Newport-Inglewood Fault. Regatta was completed in 1999 and was not yet built in 1994 when we had the Northridge earthquake, our last large earthquake in the Los Angeles region. No known active faults cross the site, but the many faults shown here can all produce strong shaking at the site. This is the corresponding map of surface geologic units. The site is on Quaternary alluvium, that is to say recent soils. The groundwater table is about 20 feet below grade, but the building is supported on precast concrete driven piles. The green area around the site on the left shows that it is within a zone defined by the state of California in which liquefaction investigations are required for new construction. Liquefaction is a soil failure in which sandy soils lose their strength when shaken strongly. The geotechnical investigation report from 1997 by the geotechnical firm Law Crandall would have identified liquefaction concerns, and that would explain the use of a pile foundation. The site is just outside of the inundation zone for tsunami, shown in the right in blue. We use the U.S. Geological Survey to estimate the ground shaking hazards. They combine the magnitudes and probabilities for all of the possible future earthquakes based on the best current knowledge to predict levels of ground shaking for the site with its geologic conditions. Their modeling gives us a set of response spectra, as shown, where the intensity of ground shaking is given as an acceleration in G units as a function of the structural period of vibration and the recurrence interval. We look at the ground motions basically having a 475-year recurrence interval. This is a common recurrence interval for risk or insurance corresponding to a 10% chance of exceedance in a 50-year exposure period. In other words, if I stand at the Regatta site for 50 years, the green line shows the level of shaking that won't be exceeded more than 10% of the time. For an 18-story concrete moment frame building like this, the fundamental period of vibration is in the 2 to 2.6 second range, meaning that is the time needed to complete one vibration cycle. This shows the structural plan of the building foundations on the left and the tower on the right. The blue tint indicates the footprint of the tower. The parking podium extends beyond the tower to the east and to the west. The foundation uses precast concrete driven piles grouped with large pile caps and linked together by tie beams. On the right side, the red lines indicate where the reinforced concrete moment frames are located. The plan is not rectangular, so that complicates the earthquake design, requiring three-dimensional analysis. Fortunately, good tools for such analysis and design were available in the late 1990s. On the left, we see the square piles with their reinforcement, the pile caps and tie beams, along with the slab on grade. On the right, we zoom in on a portion of the foundation plan to see pile groupings and tie beams. The system provides excellent support and mitigates the effects of liquefaction on the structure. The adjacent buildings, Cove and Azura, use thick reinforced concrete mat foundations, but this pile foundation may be a little better. On the left here, we show one of the reinforced concrete ductile moment frames stretching from the foundations all the way to the roof. We also see two seismic columns and a typical section through the post-tensioned reinforced concrete slabs used for the floors of the tower. Most frames are very regular, except, for instance, along line 17, where there's a step to accommodate ramps in the parking podium. And here's a photo from the parking podium. The deep girders are part of the moment frames. In addition to a good structure, the building has equipment that is well braced and anchored. Here we see the elevator room. The gas service line, as shown on the upper left, has an automatic earthquake shutoff valve. The boiler below it is anchored. The emergency generator in the upper right is anchored along with its day tank, and it is regularly tested. The cooling tower on the roof is supported on seismically competent vibration isolation and a steel frame. The fire pump is anchored, and we see the fire control room. There's a large on-site tank storing firewater in case the city's pipelines are damaged, and you have an early warning system to provide you alerts when earthquake shaking may arrive. We note that the warning time for nearby events on the Newport Inglewood or on the Palos Verdes fault may be very, very short. Some structural conclusions. The building has a good ductile, that means tough, structural system on a good foundation. It is well designed to recent codes and should provide good performance in future earthquakes, such as those anticipated in its design. Its performance should be similar to well-designed new buildings. Nevertheless, in large earthquakes, damage may occur. Expected damage and effects. A likely scenario producing shaking, like the 475-year USGS level, might correspond to a magnitude 6.5 to magnitude 7 on the Newport Inglewood fault or the Santa Monica fault. Strong shaking might last for 30 seconds at ground level, although swaying may continue for more than a minute in the tower. Cracks would occur in drywall and in architectural ceilings, and some windows may break. Contents and furniture would slide and tip. Tall furniture items may topple and fall. Fragile items not secured with plumber's putty or other means to braced shelves may slide and fall and break. The building may lose outside power and internet connections for days to a week or more. Cellular communications may be lost but should return within a shorter period of time. Water and sewer system may be interrupted, in part due to liquefaction. Some damage may occur to building service equipment. Broken sprinkler lines or plumbing lines may cause some local flooding. Pool water would rise in large sloshing waves and slosh over the sides. Cracking may occur in the building frame and may be seen and require inspection by a structural engineer. We have recommended a good firm from Los Angeles. The city may post the building with placards, with green meaning inspected and therefore safe to occupy, yellow meaning limited access, and red meaning unsafe. Hopefully you get a green placard. We estimated the financial risks to provide a basis for making decisions on earthquake insurance. For the 475-year earthquake, and based on a building replacement value of $240 million, which you provided, repair costs are expected to be about $29 million, or 12% of the building value. There are lots of uncertainties in play, so we estimate an upper bound to the losses may go as high as $46 million. This would not be exceeded 90% of the time. Robert Sides worked with your insurance brokers and provided them information from our study. This helped them to adjust their risk models and update their policy offerings. Looking at earthquake insurance considerations, it's important to recognize that earthquake insurance is a risk-sharing mechanism. In conventional coverage, the insured party covers the deductible, that's 5 or 10% of the replacement value of the building. And then above that, the insurer steps in and covers losses up to the limit of the policy. Above that limit, the insured party again pays. When selecting an earthquake limit that's less than 100% of the replacement value, we must consider the uncertainties. We've used a 500-year or 475-year scenario for ground shaking, and we've estimated scenario upper loss to provide a good level of conservatism, and this may be appropriate in selecting a limit. The scenario upper loss has a 90th centile non-exceedance confidence level. Typical conventional earthquake policies may carry a deductible that's 5% or 10% of the building's replacement value. The current replacement value for Regatta is $240 million per the HOA manager, so the SUL would then be about $46 million. With a 5% deductible in the 475-year ground motions for the scenario upper loss, earthquake coverage would then pay out 14% of the replacement value of the building, or about $34 million, and the building owners would be responsible for the deductible. That's 5% of the replacement value of the building, or $12 million. So 12 plus 34 equals 46. That makes up the SUL. For $50 million in coverage, there's a 5% deductible policy that would be okay, and in this range. It looks to be perhaps a little expensive. With a 10% deductible in the 475-year ground motions for the scenario upper loss, earthquake coverage would pay 9% of the replacement value of the building, or about $22 million, and the building owners would be responsible for the deductible, that's 10% of the replacement value of the building, or $24 million. And so it would be about an even split on paying for the repair costs and the restoration of the building. So there's an option for $25 million in coverage with a 10% deductible, and that would be consistent with this scenario. Earthquake Early Warning System. The United States Geological Survey, or USGS, in collaboration with state agencies, university partners, and private industry, is developing an earthquake early warning system for the west coast of the United States called Shake Alert, and you all are participating in that program. The photo shows the unit in the fire control room. We found seismic instruments in your building. These are located at the roof, at floor 10, and in the basement. These need to be serviced and maintained, and then they can provide valuable information after any large future earthquake to help engineers determine if the building is damaged and how much. Together with visual observations, these may help you get back into or even stay in the building after future earthquakes, or they can tell you if you need to evacuate. We have recommended a company to service and maintain these instruments for you. These were the recommendations we made in August: rehabilitating the seismic instrumentation, scanning the architectural and structural drawings, and updating emergency response plans. We also recommended contacting a good structural engineering firm to respond after future large earthquakes, so you can get the help you need quickly rather than having to scramble to find someone when everyone else is also competing for these services. Thank you very much, and we are, of course, available for questions and to serve you in any way that you wish in the future.